An old German shepherd staggered down a deserted road, ribs showing, paws torn from miles of walking. She wasn't wandering, she was trying to find her way back home. But just as her strength gave out and she collapsed, a stranger appeared, and what followed stunned everyone who heard her story. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The afternoon sun beat down mercilessly on a cracked country road, heat shimmering in the distance. Dust swirled with every step as an old German shepherd dragged her paws forward. Her once proud body was now frail, her ribs faintly visible beneath her thinning coat. Each breath rattled, every step slower than the last. Her ears drooped, but her eyes, though tired, remained fixed ahead. She wasn't wandering aimlessly. She was searching. Somewhere beyond the endless stretch of road lay the place she once called home, a place filled with voices, laughter, and warmth, until the day it was taken from her. Her paws were raw from miles of walking. Hunger gnawed at her insides, yet she pressed on with a stubborn will only loyalty could give. The road seemed endless, and still she refused to stop. But loyalty has its limits, even for the strongest heart. Finally, her legs buckled. The dog collapsed onto the hot dirt, her chest rising and falling in shallow, uneven gasps. Alone, broken, she lay waiting, yet still hoping. Emily had taken the back road home that day. Her car windows rolled down to let in the warm summer air. She almost drove past without noticing, but something in the corner of her eye made her slam the brakes. On the side of the dusty road, an old German shepherd lay still, her chest heaving weakly. Emily's heart raced. She stepped out, the gravel crunching under her sneakers, and approached cautiously. At first she feared the dog was gone, but then a pair of weary brown eyes blinked open, locking onto hers. In those eyes, Emily saw exhaustion, pain, and a desperate plea. Kneeling down, she extended her hand slowly. The shepherd flinched, her body trembling, but didn't pull away. Emily's throat tightened. Someone had left this dog behind. She could see it in the scars on her body and the hunger in her ribs. Cars passed in the distance, their drivers oblivious. But Emily couldn't walk away. Something deep inside told her this wasn't chance. She had been meant to find the dog. Emily slid her arms carefully beneath the shepherd's fragile body, startled by how light she felt. The dog whimpered faintly but made no attempt to resist, as though she had already given up. Emily whispered softly, "It's okay, girl. I've got you now." With effort, she lifted her into the car's back seat and sped toward the nearest veterinary clinic. The receptionist's expression changed instantly when she saw the frail dog. Moments later, the shepherd was placed on a steel examination table under the bright glare of medical lights. A vet named Dr. Hayes moved quickly, checking vitals, running hands gently along the dog's frame. His frown deepened with every detail. Severely dehydrated, malnourished. "She's traveled a long distance," he murmured. Emily swallowed hard, gripping the edge of the table. "Can she survive?" she asked. The vet paused before answering. "She has fight left in her, but she needs rest, food, and care, immediately." Emily looked at the shepherd, whose tired eyes still held a flicker of determination. Somehow she knew this was only the beginning of her story. As Dr. Hayes continued his examination, he brushed a hand along the dog's neck and paused. "Look here," he said quietly, pointing to a faint ring of pressed fur around her throat. She wore a collar for years, tight enough to leave an imprint. Someone owned her. She wasn't a stray. Emily's chest tightened. Then why would anyone abandon her like this? She whispered. Dr. Hayes sighed. "Some people discard animals when they grow old, when they're no longer useful." His voice carried both anger and sadness. He grabbed a scanner from the counter and passed it over the dog's shoulder. For a moment, nothing. Then a faint beep. Emily's eyes widened. "She's chipped?" The vet nodded and pulled up the information on his screen. The name of a family appeared, along with an address just miles from the clinic. Emily stared at it, her pulse quickening. This frail dog had a home once. Someone had made a choice to leave her behind. The question now burned in Emily's mind. Why? Emily sat in the clinic's waiting room, the printed address trembling in her hand. Her mind spun with questions. If the shepherd had an owner, why was she starving on the side of the road? Did they even deserve to see her again? She glanced at the dog resting nearby, chest rising steadily with each breath. Her heart ached, but curiosity gnawed stronger. "We need to know," she whispered. After signing the discharge papers, Emily helped the shepherd into her car once more. The dog shifted weakly in the back seat, her eyes occasionally lifting toward the window as if she recognized where they were going. The drive was quiet, filled only with the hum of the engine and the pounding of Emily's thoughts. Every mile brought them closer to the truth, and with it an uneasy dread. Finally, she turned into a familiar neighborhood. Well-kept lawns, children's bikes scattered across driveways, houses glowing with porch lights. When she stopped in front of the listed address, her pulse quickened. The shepherd lifted her head, ears twitching. They were home at least once. Emily guided the old shepherd up the walkway, her paws dragging across the concrete. Before she could knock, the front door swung open. A middle-aged man stepped out, his eyes widening at the sight of the dog. For a flicker of a moment, recognition crossed his face, then quickly hardened into indifference. "You found her," he muttered flatly. Emily frowned. "This is your dog?" She was starving on the roadside. The man shrugged, glancing back into the house where a woman stood with crossed arms. "She's old, sick. We couldn't keep up with the vet bills. Figured she'd find her own way." Emily's stomach twisted. She looked down at the shepherd, whose tail wagged weakly, eyes shining with unbroken loyalty toward the people who had abandoned her. The betrayal was unbearable. "She still loves you," Emily whispered, "and you threw her away." The man shifted uncomfortably but said nothing. Emily tightened her grip on the leash, fury burning through her chest. One thing was certain. This dog wasn't staying here. Not now, not ever again. Emily turned away from the house, her grip firm on the leash as the door clicked shut behind them. Her chest heaved with anger but also resolve. She looked down at the shepherd, who leaned against her leg for support, still wagging her tail as though nothing had happened. That loyalty broke Emily's heart. Kneeling beside her, Emily stroked the dog's thinning fur. "You don't deserve them," she whispered softly. "But you deserve love, and I'm not letting you go through this again." The shepherd licked her hand, a frail but undeniable gesture of trust. From that moment, the decision was clear. Emily would not return the dog. She would fight for her recovery, give her warmth, food, and the dignity she had been denied. The car ride home felt different this time, lighter, filled with quiet hope instead of dread. When they arrived, Emily set down a soft blanket in her living room. The shepherd curled up on it, sighing deeply as if she finally understood. She wasn't going anywhere. Weeks passed and the old shepherd began to change. Her ribs no longer pressed so sharply against her sides. Her coat grew softer beneath Emily's gentle care, and her eyes, once dull with exhaustion, now held a quiet spark. She walked more steadily, her steps slow but determined, always following Emily from room to room. Neighbors noticed the transformation. Children from next door would stop at the fence, smiling as the shepherd basked in the sunlight, tail sweeping happily against the grass. "She looks like she belongs here," one neighbor remarked. Emily only smiled, knowing it was true. One evening, Emily sat on the porch as the sun dipped low, the shepherd resting her head in her lap. She ran her fingers through the dog's fur and whispered, "You're safe now. This is your home." The shepherd gave a soft, contented sigh, eyes fluttering closed. She had never made it back to the place she once called home, because she had found something better, a forever family that would never abandon her again.